welcome to the Chronic Health Collective. This isn't just a community, it's your fresh start. We have gathered the best coaches and experts to help you reclaim your energy, heal from inside, and live with purpose. Whether you're longing for more energy, deeper healing in your relationships, or a life that feels more aligned and fulfilling, you're not alone anymore. I'm Leandra Frey, and today I am going to be telling you all about how to succeed in dating using the let them theory that Mel Robbins talks about so much. That was the latest and biggest book, nonfiction book that was sold this year in 2025. And I'm all about helping women succeed in the dating world because I believe that we were created for love and connection. So, love is a very powerful part of our health. And so that's why I'm part of this collective, because it's all about being healthy so that we can have healthy relationships. And if you're not in a relationship but desire to be, that is where I'm going to help you. And isn't just for women. This particular talk today about the let them theory could also be applicable to ongoing relationships that you have, and it's also for men as well, but you'll hear me mostly talk about women, but that does not mean you are not included as well. So let me share my screen and we'll get going because I have lots to share. We'll see what we can get through today on this amazing topic called the let them theory. And I'm going to share a little bit about who I am before we get into it, because some of you guys are like, I don't know who you are, but I just wanted to share. I'm a life coach, been certified for about 5 years. I am also a CrossFit coach because I believe in mind, body, and soul. So those two are very complementary of each other. That's my husband that you see. We've been married since 2018. It is my second marriage. So part of my story is I was divorced many years ago. I had to go into the dating world and figure it all out and not be a victim that we tend to be when we're in between marriages or in between relationships, or maybe we never even got started. So that is that's part of my background and part of when I started my coaching career, not just CrossFit coaching, because I became a CrossFit coach in 2018. I really wanted to help women and just fall in love again, because I have been very blessed with my husband, Dale. And I think that we are designed to be in love and be connected so that we can be very powerful in other parts of our life. When you have a ride or die next to you, it makes life a lot easier because you get to solve problems together and do life together. So that's a little bit of what this is. I read this book at the beginning of this year. This is called What is the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. She's been talking about this particular aspect for a long time in her podcast. So she has a great podcast. You can either read her book or go to the podcast. And I have heard of the let them theory in other parts of when I became a life coach, just learning to let people be who they are. It's basically about accepting people where they are and learning how to do that. And also how to do that when you're dating and not expect people to be certain ways and not cause your own suffering. So I'm just going to quote her, and I'm going to say, no matter how hard you try, you will never be able to control or change another person. The only person you're in control of is you, your thoughts, your actions, and your feelings. So one thing to ask yourself is, do you like being controlled? And most of us would say no. But yet, as women, this is more toward our women because we like to be in control. And is that we tend to let our feelings get in the way. And we say, well, if they don't call me back, if they don't text me back, if you're married, you say, if you don't take out the trash, then I feel like you don't respect me. And then basically we're giving all our power away. So this is what this particular let them theory is about. And learning to, hey, let someone be how they are. You get to decide how you're going to show up. And if you don't want this person anymore in your life, we can also talk about that. But a lot of our suffering comes from what we're thinking. So that is why we talk about your thoughts, your actions, and your feelings, and then letting people be themselves, let them be, and also how are you going to show up. So when you stop trying to control things that are not yours to control, you stop wasting your energy. You reclaim your time, your peace of mind, your focus, and you realize that your happiness is tied to your actions, not someone else's behavior, opinions, or mood. So I like to say this is similar to throwing out the rule book, right? A lot of us have rule books. We have high expectations for people in our lives. And in the dating world, it comes very simple. It starts from the very beginning with some of my clients is, well, especially for men, well, shouldn't they be pursuing me? Shouldn't they be planning the date? Shouldn't they be paying for the date? Shouldn't they be texting me every morning? Whew. And then if they're not doing any of those things, well, then we feel like crap. So I get to tell women, hey, no, you get to feel however you want to be. If they text you back, great. If they don't, we can move on, or we can say, hey, I would like to see you too. And teaching from a place of empowerment, right? We don't want a bad date or no one talking to us be tied to our moods. And that happens, right? I was just talking to someone about their husband driving this morning. He was driving in the right lane on the freeway, and she's like, why can't you get into the middle lane? And she literally texted me, I can feel my stress levels going up. She was giving all her power away. But thankfully, was one of the things she was learning was to notice her emotions, not get mad at her husband, and ask kindly if she can get him to move to the middle lane, which she did kindly, which was a new part in her life, new practice. She's like, it took some work, but she did it, and they didn't have a fight, and it was great. All right. So what does letting go mean? A lot of people think letting go just means they get away with murder. They get to be however they want to be. And, we call it water under the bridge. I mean, there's a lot of terms that we use for letting go. There's, obviously we have one whole movie. I'm not going to name it. That does a whole song about let it go. But what it really means is you get to control your response, which is your attitude, your values, your needs, and your desires, right? You get to control how you're going to be, right? So if someone comes late to a date, right? And that was one of the things that on my second date with my husband, my second date with my husband, he was about 15 minutes late. And at that time, I thought before he was going to show up late, I was like, I had told myself, no matter what, I'm going to order myself a drink. I'm going to, enjoy myself, enjoy the restaurant that we were in. And I was going to hug him and greet him with love and respect, no matter what. Now that takes a lot of effort, but that was what I was committed to. Notice I was controlling my attitude. I value love and connection. My need was I want to stay connected and I desire to have a great date. He came in 15 minutes late. He was a little frazzled, and I did all those things. I said, hey, how are you doing? It's so good to see you. I gave him a hug. I was like, thank you for being here. Would you like a drink? Here's the menu. Let's calm down, because he was a little frazzled. And we went through the date. And then later on, he told me that he had a flat tire and he was struggling to get the tire off, and that's why he was late. And I can't imagine what it would have been like if I had been a complete imbecile and, held my drink out like this and was like, didn't get up to hug him, because I got to control my response. I let it go that he was going to be late, or he was late, right? Now that's just a one minimal experience, but notice the response includes acceptance. I was accepting who he was. And I didn't wait for the story to act like that. I didn't wait for the story. I was already accepting of him. I was already understanding, hey, did you find the place okay? I was compassionate. I took responsibility for how I wanted to show up on that date. And I was in control of my emotions, right? A lot of times we'll be like, well, he didn't call me or she didn't call me, especially like if it's someone's birthday. Oh my gosh. If it's someone's birthday, today's my sister's birthday, by the way. Now, granted, I call her, but if I hadn't called her, she has a choice, right? If I hadn't called her, was she going to hold it against me, be passive aggressive, be like, you don't love me, you don't desire me, not desire me, but you don't love me as my sister, respect me, right? All of that happens and we're just giving all our power away. So notice when that is happening. And so letting people, in this case, if I had missed her birthday, I just would have been like, okay. So the biggest thing on let them is a lot of times we don't want to let people be who they are, right? We want to let them think bad things about you. Let them think bad thoughts about you, okay? Because a lot of times we think, well, what will they think if I don't say anything? What will they think if I don't, if you're in church and trying to serve every Sunday or show up on every Sunday, or if you're baking cookies for every PTA, right? There's a lot of people pleasing going on. And a lot of times we'll think, what will they think about me? But really, it's what you're thinking about yourself. So the way I really want you to think about this is fear what people think is your biggest doubt, right? So for my people that are dating, we won't say what we truly think on a first date. We kind of filter ourselves because then we're afraid, well, if I say this, they'll think I'm needy. If I tell them about my divorce, they'll think I'm desperate. If I tell them I have a kid, they, whatever it is that they'll think. If I've had 4 husbands, what will they think, right? So then we filter ourselves because we're fear of what they will think. And because we think, what are we thinking about ourselves, right? So we'll think, I'm not good enough. The question you want to ask yourself is for whom? For whom? I'm not smart enough. For whom, right? Who are you talking about? And do we really know that they're thinking this? They're going to be mad at me. Who is going to be mad at you? My parents don't approve, right? Now, for some of you guys that are watching this, that might not be a problem, but I work with young adults in a ministry on Monday nights, and their parents still matter. They're in their early 20s. And so they will think, my parents won't approve. Okay, so what? But what is the life that you want to lead, right? What will my friends think, right? So those are for my young adults that I have to say, well, what do they want? And does this make me look bad? To who? So people are going to think whatever they think, one of you, right? But it's really what you're thinking about yourself. You want to say, okay, let them be wrong about me, right? I don't go to church every Sunday because I practice Sabbath on Saturday. So some people might think she's not showing up. And I might be like, well, until you ask me, okay, we can have a conversation about it. But I actually don't know what they're thinking. That's probably the biggest thing is we just don't know what people are thinking. And then we're letting that drive our actions because we're thinking terrible thoughts about ourselves on what they could be thinking. Okay. We're going to talk about how this gets applied to love and commitment. So I talked a little bit about dating. There's my husband, Dale. When we're having a great date, we're having a great coffee date. This is many years after that fateful second date that we had. What it could have made or broke us, right? Thank God I was committed to love. Okay, so it takes bravery to see that someone is not interested in you. Okay, it takes confidence to remind yourself that texting you is easy, and if they wanted to see you, they would be making plans. Okay, my friends, you're like, why are we talking about texting? Because in the dating world, and when you're dating, we are on the dating apps. There is a lot of messaging, tons of messaging, whether you're in the dating apps. And for those of you that don't want to do dating apps, that's not a problem. We're still going to get into the texting world regardless, right? Even if you meet someone organically, we're going to trade some numbers. We're going to start texting and calling each other. There's going to be a lot of communication, right? And guess what? That doesn't stop when you get married, right? The texting is for real. The phone calls are real. This is something that is part of our life. Okay. So the reason we say that it takes bravery to notice when someone is not interested in you is we want to just be clear, like let them, right? We want to just, hey, if they don't want to text you, not a problem. All right. Then we get to decide how we want to be. And this is very key because I see a lot of women get stuck on they should text in 48 hours. They should do XYZ. There's a lot of things. And I know some on the men's side, but men are not as emotional as our women are. So this is for my women. I love you guys. Okay. So the purpose of dating is not to find the one. Now, a lot of times we'll have the vision, I really want to find this guy. He has these values and all these things. Dating helps you to learn about the reason we date is to learn. Dating helps you learn more about who you are, what you want, and what you don't, what type of situations you'll accept and don't compromise. So we're going to be talking about you meeting many people because a lot of women want to date one at a time, and then how to accept people as they are, how to let them be. They don't want to text you. They don't want to open the door for you. They don't want to pay for dinner. We can talk about that instead of saying, oh, it means that I'm undesirable. It just means that that's just not their thing. And we can either keep dating or see what else is available with this person, right? There's a lot of availability in someone we don't know yet. So we're going to be talking about that in the next segment, which is coming up. But I just want you to ponder dating is to get to know what you like and don't like. And the more you do it, you get to practice on how you show up and showing who you are instead of just being on filter. Because I say to learn to be unfiltered and authentic. Here we go.
Why do 98% of beauty enthusiasts rave about coolness? It's all in the blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. Introducing Coolness, Pearlescent Face and Eye Serum Cream. This powerhouse combines the antioxidative power of schisandra berries, the glow of pearl powder, and the hydrating wonders of dragon's blood extract. It's like a time machine for your skin, making it radiant, firm, and oh so smooth. Inspired by ancient Chinese traditions and backed by modern nutritional science, this serum cream is perfect for dry, mature, and aging skin. It's time to unlock your inner glow with Coolness. Treat your skin to the best of both worlds today.
Hi, I am Leandra Frey. I am a life and dating coach. I help women that have gone through a divorce, widowhood, or if it's been a long time since they've been in a relationship, I help them get back on their feet, gain courage and confidence to get back into the dating world and find the love of their lives in 6 months or less. The reason I do this is having been divorced myself, I have been out in the world, the dating world, what I would call the gauntlet. And it can be hard when you've come off a divorce or you've come off a long time breakup and you find yourself starting and stopping. And sometimes you stop and many years can go by. And so what I'm here to do and help you is to help you along the way so that you don't give up on yourself and that we learn to create resilience in your dating so that you can keep going and not waste 5, 7, 12 years of your life thinking there's no one out there for you. There are many people out there for you. There is someone looking for you today. So that is why I do what I do, because I love bringing people together because we are all created for love and connection. All right, welcome back. We were just talking about what the purpose of dating is. It's not just to find the one, yes, find the one, but also get to know what you like and who you like and how you show up with others, right? So a lot of times we go in, well, I want a loyal guy. I want him to be funny. I want him, to communicate with me. We have all this lovely list, and those are called values. And but we need to find out what that looks like in real flesh, right? And think about it from a new point of view, because some of you guys haven't dated in a long time, or some of you guys have been divorced, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared of dating. And the reality is you're just getting to know people, right? You're getting to know human being and seeing what is compatible with you. All right, so when we start dating, and this happens, I get lots of text. I get a lot of texts from my clients. And they're just like, he hasn't texted in 48 hours. And there's a confusion. I'm confused, right? So someone will feel confused with someone's response or lack of response. Okay. And that's perfectly normal. And what we want to talk about that, I should probably go back. Let me talk a little bit about the feeling confused. When you're feeling confused, there's two things that could be happening. One is that we're not letting someone show up how they want to show up, right? So we have some people that don't respond within seconds of getting a text. By the way, I'm one of those people. I don't respond very fast to texts. They're not very robust in their typing, right? I am also not one of those people that are very robust. So if those two things are not happening, a woman might be like, well, we had a great date, but I'm getting these one-word answers. He hasn't responded. And then we feel confused. And what do we do when we're confused? We pull away. And then we lose the connection because we're giving our power away because we're behaving contingent on someone else's behavior. How do we want to show up no matter what? So a lot of times when someone hasn't responded in 48 hours, I will say, well, do you like this guy? Did you have a great date? And they're like, yeah, but shouldn't he be texting? I'm like, no, I mean, yeah, maybe, but that's an expectation. I was like, if you feel connected to him, send a funny emoji, send him a funny picture, send him something that you really liked about your date. And they're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, you want to stay connected, right? If you feel connected, then stay connected. And then they're like, okay, I'll try that. They don't like it, but we take out that let them be, unresponsive for a little while. Doesn't mean that they're not into you. Now, if it's many dates, okay. Many days, we'll get to it. And a lot of times they'll drop an emoji or drop like a funny, something funny. And then the guy responds and is like, hey, when are we seeing each other next? So I was like, but there's a lot of things that could go wrong in someone feeling confused. So you have a choice in how you want to be. Okay. And also, there are times when someone is not writing you back, right? Now, that could also be if it's been many days, a week, it could be that they're just not interested. And guess what? That's okay. We want to find out who those people are. We want to find out if they're not interested so we can move on, right? So we don't have to feel confused. You get a choice like, hey, do I need to still reach out to this guy? Or, maybe he's not interested in me. And that's not a bad thing. A lot of us will think, oh my gosh, we're getting rejected. No, because guess what? You guys might be rejecting guys too. And I don't like to call it rejection. It's just not your flavor. Okay. So how do you know if you're chasing? This is a big thing. So are you chasing? Usually this shows up in my young women, but it will also show up at all ages. So sometimes I see this with women in their 20s, sometimes in their 30s, but then, people get back out of the dating world and we might be doing this in our 60s and 70s. So just listen carefully. Are you chasing? So chasing the wrong person always leads to wrong places. Okay. So we got to make sure they match your values, right? And so that's when, if you're having to chase someone, and we'll talk about what that chasing looks like, probably not your person. And we might have an expectation there. We might be settling. There's a lot of things that might be going. Okay. Number 2 is chasing the potential means something isn't right and you are ignoring your truth. Okay, that's a big one. I could talk forever on that, but you know what I'm talking about, women. We're like, you'll say, well, he has potential. I mean, he has this job, but he could get a better job or he's building his business. He kind of has a tenuous relationship with his ex-wife, but I think it'll get better. I mean, he's really working on himself, right? So you'll hear all these. I think it'll get better. Now, these aren't on the initial stages of dating. These are we're now like in a month or two. You're really getting to know this person. So these aren't first date questions. This usually starts to happen when we're going on second and third dates. If you're chasing a potential, right? That means a person is right here. This is accepting them who they are. And we're wishing them to be right here, right? This is causing a gap. if you're hoping that person goes up to here, we're in for a disaster. And we know that if you're chasing a potential, that could lead to a terrible marriage, terrible frustration, terrible suffering for all parties involved. So notice if you're not listening to your intuition, or if you're using that language, it'll get better, he'll be better, all sorts of things. Okay, so ways that you are chasing. Okay, I know I just talked about texting here, I said, but notice the key words. Always texting, always calling, always reaching out. Okay, if there's any reciprocation, we're probably chasing, right? So if you're always the one making the plans, if you're always reaching out, and what I've noticed with men, hi guys, is they will move mountains for the ones that they want. They will like make it happen. They will show themselves to be very accessible. Okay. So a lot of times I'm like, if they're not reaching back out to you, I'm not talking after 48 hours. I'm like, there's a regular rhythm, then they're definitely into you. But if there's like a month, 2 weeks, I only call you because I need a warm bed to sleep in, those people are not your people. Okay. Driving to their place. This actually happens with grown people dating. You're always going over to their area of town. Back in your 20s, we call it booty calls. I don't know what we call it now, but going over there at midnight. So for any of my 20-year-olds that are watching this, if you guys are only seeing each other at 1:00 in the morning, probably you are chasing that person. For my people that are always driving to that person, like, well, we don't go out to restaurants and we don't do anything, but we do see each other. I go to his place. I'm like, well, what are you doing in his place? Well, we watch a ball game. And I'm like, do you want to watch a ball game? Like, is that your thing? I mean, is that a mutual thing? Well, no, I mean, we're just, so if you notice yourself doing that, we probably have a problem. Okay. Probably might be chasing. Okay. You think it will get better, right? You think like, oh, it'll get better. He'll get better. And that's very similar to chasing the potential. You believe that you can fix them, right? You're making it work means you're choosing the wrong fit. You're choosing the wrong fit. This means you're not letting them be, right? If we're just going to let someone be who they are, let them be who they are. That doesn't mean you have to marry them. Okay. Some of you guys are like wanting to marry them. And what this looks like in the relationship, some of you guys might be with someone that doesn't greet you in the morning, right? When you wake up, it doesn't mean like, oh, we're getting a divorce. It just means, okay, just let them not greet you. That's okay. It doesn't mean that you're undesirable. It's what you're making in your head. And another way that you're chasing is if you are changing something about yourself. Okay. So that you're, what we call it, you become a chameleon, right? Or super compliant. That's when we don't have boundaries. So that's how you know. And these are for all my people that are dating in the middle. More not like first dates, but we're starting date. And we're like, I notice a pattern here. Okay. Okay. So let them ghost you and let me move on. Okay. So you had a great date. You went out with a guy. You had 3 great dates, right? Maybe 4. And then they don't text you, right? I mean, we're talking like a week. And now we're going back to like, this isn't a 48-hour thing. This is like a week. Okay. And then we get very upset. They're like, I got ghosted. I mean, I thought we had something good. And it's not very dramatic. It gets very dramatic, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. Okay, no problem. Y'all dated. It wasn't a match. He wasn't interested. And then, a lot of us will like, shouldn't there have been we didn't work out. Sometimes I do encourage my women, if they've gone on a few dates with someone and it's not a match, then I tell them thank you for their time. But you're not always going to get that from the other people. And that's okay. Let me move on. Fundamental principles of the let them behavior is that people's behavior tell them exactly where you stand in their life. You're either a priority or not. You don't have to bang your head trying to make them believe that you are a priority. You're just like, okay, you're not interested in hanging out with me, not a problem. That's also applicable to friendships. Okay. Because some of us, have friends that, we're seasonal. We were in a season with someone and we've moved on. Doesn't mean that they're terrible people. It just means that we're in different seasons, or they don't have time, or they don't have the capacity. Doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that you're not a priority. Does it feel a little icky? If you choose to think that way, or you just feel like they don't have the capacity, this isn't a match. Okay. Also, someone texting you nonstop and not planning anything, let them do that. By the way, this happens a lot. This happens not this is more on the initial stages when we're in the messaging apps. Usually I get a lot of people that are just texting, men and women both, are like, yeah, I mean, lots of fun texting, but then they never actually get on a date. Okay. And people get really frustrated with that. And I'm like, no, if they're just like texting you nonstop and they're not planning anything, let them. Also, they're not interested in anything real. And usually for me, especially for my women that are working with me, I'll say, if they're not interested in a coffee or what do we call it? A coffee or a phone call, they're just there for entertainment. And, say, hey, are you interested in a coffee or a phone call? And if they say, no, I want to text some more or whatever, I'm like, they're probably not in. I usually literally say, it's not that they're not interested in you. They're just not there to meet people in real life. They're just there for entertainment. There's a lot of people that are just in there for the entertainment of it all. Or they could still be in a relationship and entertaining themselves. So that for them, it's more of a cue, but they'll be like, but it was a great guy. We have a great connection. I'm like, great, but they're not, let them reveal who they are. They're not interested. They're not interested in anything real. So yeah, those are some things to look at. Okay, the biggest thing that makes dating confusing is your refusal to see the fact that they don't care for you the way you wish you would. This is a direct quote from Mel Robbins. She's very practical. I love her. I usually don't talk this way to most of my clients, but it is true. It is really true. What makes it as confusing is we like to fantasize in our mind to say, well, maybe he has this, or maybe this is going on, or maybe he's traveling, or maybe blah, blah, whatever it is. And, a lot of times I'm like, they're not interested, and that's okay. That's even better, because then you can move on and keep dating someone else, right? And we can go move on to someone who you want to date, right? And so, or who wants to date you. And I always say that. I'm like, people that are interested in you, they will make a way to see you. They will, they'll talk to you, they'll make plans. You can't wait to see each other, and there's people that are looking for you. We just got to move through this little piece and take out the confusion. So just think about that. Okay. And commitment. Oh, let's talk about commitment. Okay. If you are always picking the wrong people, ask these questions. Okay. Are you dating people who never committed? Who were never committed? And then for my people that have already come out of the marriages, maybe, you just come out of a commitment, but a lot of this shows up in my 20s and 30s, people that are just not willing to be in a committed relationship. So watch out for that. So this is more for my younger folks. Are you the girlfriend before they find their wife, right? So because they were not committed. Are you dating people that you fully don't trust? You know what that looks like, right? So you're checking their phone, you're checking their social media. Where are they? Who are they talking to? Who's that girl that you just posted of? They went on a trip. Who's that girl? Who's that guy? Who's that arm, like in that picture? I don't know if anyone watches Murders in the Building, but there was a whole thing on Instagram on one of the characters getting jealous about someone on Instagram. Are you dating people that are jealous or controlling? Right? So someone that's like, who are you talking to that guy? Or who is that? There's a lot of things that happen there. And do you keep sleeping with people hoping it turns into something? My friends, that still happens. It doesn't matter if you are 20 years old, 50, 60. If you find yourself asking that question or doing that behavior where you're like, well, this means something, not without commitment. Okay. So are you dating someone who is struggling? Do you like to do project-based dating? So then we call this the night in knight in shining armor syndrome. Women, we could just call this project like making project dating, right? And are you regularly dating people that cheat on you? Those are probably some ways that, there's some things that we need to ask. These are hard questions that we are asking. So I want y'all to think about that. As you're going through this dating thing and who you're talking to, right? A lot of this, again, is not going to be in the initial stages of dating. This will be showing up as a pattern. So just be thinking about that. These are hard questions, but I'm a dating coach. This is what I want people to be aware of, no matter how old you are. If you are seeing a pattern, truth is you love the chase and not the actual commitment. Direct quote from the Let Them Theory: see a therapist or a life coach if you see this pattern. We have many coaches in this chronic collective that can help you. I can help you. Or if you want to see if you're chasing patterns, we have several coaches, 11 of them that can help you if you really want to check in, if that's the issue. So definitely see one of us. Okay. So are you ready for commitment? Okay. If you're ready for commitment, you've been dating someone and, we're ready to have that conversation. We call it determine the relationship, or we're ready to say, you want to be my boyfriend or girlfriend? I just had that with a client. She had a guy that was like, came to her at lunch and said, will you be my girlfriend? So it wasn't even asked, like, where's this relationship going? He was just like, will you be my girlfriend? It was really funny because it's old school conversation, and I loved it. So one of my favorite books is, and also YouTube dating extraordinaires, is A Love Life. And his name is Matthew Hussey. And we'll talk about how to get ready to have this conversation right after this here shortly. He has a great YouTube channel and great book. So one moment.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science, at longevity, at exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take control of your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
Have you encountered a situation or an event in your life that's caused you to feel stuck? You are on a journey to live your best life, but thoughts and feelings from the past keep showing up and has caused you to feel like you're not headed in the right direction or being the best version of you. Meet Jessica Hammock, trauma recovery and transformation coach. Not only will she teach you about emotional and mental health, she's here to help you unwind the treasure of who you are from the trauma of your past so that you can walk in the truth of your identity and break free from what is holding you back so you're able to nurture the best version of who you're meant to be. The time is now. Let's get started.
All right. Okay. So we were just talking about, we're getting ready. Are you ready for commitment? And we want to talk about your value and your time and what you want. And that is where we're headed. And Matthew Hussey does a great job talking about that. So actually, let me go back to that slide. Where did we go? So one of the things that he talks about is when you really are dating for maybe a few months and you've already maybe getting ready to stop dating other people, right? So I encourage men and women when you're going out and they're dating to date multiple people maybe 3 or 4, without sleeping with them, please, before you get into a one-on-one dating, right? So sometimes that means that you'll have to say goodbye to people, like, hey, I'm going to go check it out with this guy or this girl or whatnot. But usually before that, you got to see if there's interest in, hey, are we ready to take this to the next level? So usually what we say is we want to talk about our value and our time. Like, I value my time. I value my energy. I want to see what that looks like to do this forward with you as your girlfriend or as someone that is considering marriage, right? I help women get ready for marriage, not just for fun dating. And so we don't talk about the focus on the other person. We say, hey, this is what I'm about. And, this is what I desire. I see all these things in you and I would like to move forward, but I value my time. But if you're not interested in that, right, moving forward, I value my time and my energy, then I'll have to break up, right? And I'm ready to move forward with someone else. And so you might get 1 or 2 answers. The guy might say, I'm not ready. And you'll say, okay, not a problem. You keep dating other people. But if you're like, there's no more, we don't need to see if there's any more time here. This guy's, you can tell he's not ready for a commitment because of all those patterns I just showed you. And then we say goodbye, right? So yeah, but we want to say what it is, our value and our time when we get ready for that. And he has a whole playbook in his book. He's really great. I love that guy. Okay, so and talking about that. So we want to let me end the relationship with someone who won't commit, right? So I just said, hey, if someone who's just has a pattern, always having girlfriends, multiple marriages, then we don't want to be with someone that won't commit, right? We want to go one-on-one dating for the purpose of marriage. And let me trust. This is another step in the direction of choosing the love I deserve. Okay. So I have multiple women that are in my dating world, I won't call it dating collective, that have had a traumatic past, right? So the idea of, oh my gosh, you want me to what? Trust another person one-on-one time? What if they break my heart? We have a lot of things that are related. So one of the steps is, hey, we're going to have to move forward with trust. And if you need help with the trust, right, we have me that you can help. If you had a traumatic past, we have many coaches that can help with that. So let's look at it, right? If trust is an issue, we need to say that your past is your past. It's not your fortune teller. It's your teacher, but it's not your fortune teller. Let me stop chasing the potential of this and see the reality, right? We've been talking about accepting who they are. Let me accept who they are. Let me believe that I took one step closer to be the right person, to be with the right person, right? So each date that you go on, I have just one client that she went on multiple dates. I mean, oh my gosh, poor thing. Multiple dates, because sometimes you have to go on a lot of dates to meet the right person. And she had to keep believing, right? I helped her with that, but you also have to believe that. Believe I'm one step closer to meeting the right person. That date is right around the corner. Let me not stop. Let me keep going on this journey. Don't let 12 years go by in between dates. Let me take my power back because the love of my life is right around the corner. Yeah, let's take our power back. So good. I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys. If you're watching this, I'm excited. I'm always cheering people on, so can't help myself. I can't help myself. Okay, so we have a little bit of time here. So I wanted to tell you 2 things that require to make a relationship go the distance. Okay, so you guys are in a relationship. We're talking about marriage. Some of you are in blended families, right? Some of you guys are like either in your 20s trying to figure out things, and some of you guys have blended families. So we got lots of things that we have to think about. But here's how they work. Both people want to make the relationship work and are willing to work on it to make it better, right? So easy, right? You don't want to be the only person doing the work. We want to always be checking in. Hey, you see a future for this. I always talk when I'm giving relationship advice, I'm like, what's the vision of the relationship? What is that you desire? Are you willing to do the distance and do the work? The issues that create problems do not require either person to give up their dreams or compromise their values. Okay, so a lot of times, an example is someone who wants to move back to their hometown of London. So if someone is having to give up their dream of going back home, or, I want to travel the world, that is requiring someone that's giving up their dream, or they're compromising their values. Okay. So a lot of times people will go into a relationship thinking, well, maybe in 10 years, I'll get to go back home, whatever the situation is. So, this example, this showed up in the Let Them book, but this actually is a real life example for me and my husband. When we first started dating, I knew that I was going back home to Texas because I wanted to be near my dad. He was sick, and I already knew I was going. And I told him, I said, hey, I think there's something here, because we were starting to get close. We hadn't quite fallen in love yet. I said, hey, I got to let you know, I'm moving back to Texas in 11 months. If you want to move forward with this relationship, I'm going to have to, I got to exit out unless you want to come with me, but I'm not giving up my value, which was my family. And he had to think about it and think, am I compromising my values and my family and my dreams? And then he thought about it and was like, no, like he had never considered going to Texas, but he had no dreams of like, I need to be in Virginia forever. So it was flexible. So he was willing to come with me. And then we got married. So, and he's still here in Texas, and he's such a good guy. And then his family left for Boston. So I was like, well, that all worked out. But sometimes we wait 10 years, and at the end of 10 years, we're in a marriage where, hey, wait, I still never made it to London, or I never made it to Texas, or we never made it to Boston. So those are things to consider when you're thinking about that. Okay. The biggest one is, this is for my young folks, someone who wants children and the other doesn't. How do you know if it's a deal breaker? Will you regret breaking up with them more than moving to London? Or if you agree to move, will you resent your partner if you choose to leave your family and friends behind? Also, same thing. Will you regret not having children? Those are big questions, and those are questions that we need to ask. And so, okay, so maybe you're older. We want to talk about grandchildren. Will you regret not being close to your grandchildren because the guy that you really like is in Maine and you live in Texas? Or, and we have that situation all the time. Some people are flexible, some are not, but those are tough questions that you want to ask. Okay. So think about those things. Okay. Those are easy, but hard, especially if the guy or the woman is really cute and y'all are getting along. You're like, oh my gosh, but you got to check in on the regret. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about surviving heartbreak. We got a few minutes here. I do talk a lot about heartbreak. I used to do a heartbreak clinic, like how to get over your heart, especially for me when I was divorced. I was a sad, sad bear. So if you have gotten into, I've had a couple of clients that have dated and met some great guys, and then they go through a breakup, right? Maybe 3 months, 6 months, because they're still figuring out if this is the right guy. But there's a little bit of heartbreak, right? So one of the things you want to do is you want to have no contact with that person for 30 days. Okay. No photos, no texts, get off the social media, stop following them. Expect 3 months to be in the thick of grief. Okay. So if you're going through a divorce, I would say a year on that, but 3 months for sure. Research says it takes 11 weeks, not even 12, 11. Okay, let me grieve, cry in bed for days. Yeah, so if you need to be in bed and do nothing and cry and watch episodes of Gilmore Girls, let yourself. Don't try to be strong or do all those things. And, and let me tell my story over and over again, how it ended. And let me resist reaching out. Yeah. Let me be depressed. Yeah. A lot of times when I went through my divorce, man, I think I told my story a lot. I tell my story differently now. I've had some reflection, but back then I cried so hard. I thought, can you die of crying? I really thought I could die of crying, but it's a real thing. So give yourself that gift when you're in between these relationships, and you get it physically out, then we can get ready for the next thing. Okay. Because we're still created for love and connection. Okay. So how to survive it? We want to remove all environmental triggers. Now, some of you guys if you're going through a divorce, that will take some time. But if you're, living with roommates, or you're just dating, then you would want to remove pictures and flowers and things like that. Give your bedroom a small makeover. Reach out to friends, siblings, and coworkers. This is after you're like, your initial, like, I'm crying forever. But start reaching out to your friends. And I did a lot of that when I was going through my divorce. And they actually reached out to me, but I reached back out. So the key word is probably reach back out, because there will be people that will be reaching for you. And it's okay to say, like, I'm going to cry, but go ahead and reach back. Also fill your calendar with fun events. One of my favorite memories was I got invited to a St. Patrick's Day parade, and I wanted to wallow and not go to St. Patrick's Day parade, but to this day I went with my friends and I had one of the best times ever. That was many years ago, but still to my memory, great time. And pick a challenge you've always wanted to do. If that's run a marathon, write a book, do a painting, and keep asking yourself this question. If you knew the love of your life was around the corner and this breakup was bringing you one step closer to meeting them, how would you spend, not speak, your nights and weekends while you were single? Make it count. Make it count. You have the ability to make it count. We don't really talk about that, but we really want to talk about, like I said, some of you guys will be with someone for a year and break up because it wasn't compatible. We may have had those two hard questions where we're like, oh, wait, my grandchildren do mean something, or I do want to have kids. But because you know the process of how to date now, then you're like, oh, I know what I'm looking for now. So yeah, those are things to think about. So that's the end of, our just want to make sure I have this right. Yeah. So these are, those are some things to think about, and just give yourself the time to grieve and do fun things. So that's a big thing. And I keep on going back. 1 second. I already talk about that. I want to talk a little bit about, I have some coaching events that are in person, but before I get to that, we just want to talk about let people be who they are, because that is so important, right? We need to let people, we're not trying to change them. We want to accept them. And if they don't match your values, or your long-term vision of like, I want to move to London, or I want to travel the world, or I want to spend time with my grandchildren, and that's not conducive to dating, because I do help women that have been, that are older, like 60s and 70s. Actually, that seems so young to me now. We want to think about those lifestyles, right? And then if someone's not into you, it doesn't mean anything about you. Don't waste energy. A lot of times if someone is not into us, we think something's wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with you. Then we're not your flavor. Remember, Baskin Robbins has several flavors of ice cream. There's not all your flavor. And this is how, what I have going on this Thursday. I have crucial dating tips at 5:30 Central. It is a virtual seminar, talk more about how to help you get out there. And if you are in the Dallas area, I have an in-person dating Q&A event. It's navigating your path to love, and it's from 6:30 to 8:30. It's free. You get to hang out, and we get to share our stories and dating tips and scenarios. I have a lot of people that come in and say, I got this text, I went on this date, what do I do next? I'm like, here are some options, help them think through and strategize their way through this dating space. And it's a lot of fun. We laugh a lot. So that is fantastic. Also, I really appreciate you spending the time with me. This is how you can reach me. It's also on the bottom, but that's my link tree to some of those events that we have coming on for the rest of October and November. And you just have any questions, you can email me. I'm on Facebook and on Instagram. So it's been a pleasure. I have enjoyed being here with you guys. And I just hope that you have I just hope that you have enjoyed it, and please don't hesitate to ask me anything. In today's episode, if today's episode spoke to you, don't go it alone. Book a free consult with one of the expert coaches at chroniccollective.com for personalized help. So not just me, but some of the people I've talked to. Subscribe to the monthly magazine for tips from all 14 coaches to elevate your health, mindset, and relationships. Catch us every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central and watch the past episodes anytime on E360 TV and YouTube, Chronic Health Collective. Thank you for tuning in. Your transformation starts now, and we'll see you next week. I appreciate all the help.